Once, in a small village nestled between tall mountains, there lived a man named Elias. He was known throughout the village as the hardest worker anyone had ever seen. From sunrise to sunset, Elias was always moving, always doing something. He tilled the fields, chopped wood, repaired houses, and helped his neighbors with whatever they needed. The people of the village admired him for his endless energy and dedication. But deep inside, Elias felt tired. His mind was always racing, his body never at rest. He believed that if he stopped working, even for a moment, everything would fall apart. One summer, the village faced a terrible drought. The crops withered, the rivers dried up, and the animals grew thin. The villagers worked day and night to save what little they could, but nothing seemed to help. Elias, more than anyone, pushed himself to the limit. He dug wells, carried water from distant springs, and tried every trick he knew to keep the fields alive. But the harder he worked, the worse things seemed to get. Exhausted and desperate, Elias finally collapsed under the weight of his efforts. That night, as he lay on his bed, too weak to move, an old man from the village came to visit him. The old man was a quiet figure, rarely seen but deeply respected. He sat beside Elias and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have done much," the old man said, "but sometimes the greatest strength is found in stillness." Elias frowned. "How can doing nothing help? The village is dying." The old man nodded. "The earth is tired, just like you. It needs rest, not more struggle." Elias did not understand, but he was too weak to argue. The old man stayed with him, speaking softly. "Long ago, before this village existed, the land was wild and free. The trees grew tall because no one cut them down too soon. The rivers flowed because no one tried to control them. Nature knows when to act and when to wait. We have forgotten that wisdom." Elias listened, his mind slowly calming. For the first time in years, he did nothing. He simply lay there, breathing, letting his body rest. The next morning, Elias awoke feeling different. His body was still weak, but his mind was clear. He stepped outside and looked at the dry fields, the cracked earth. Instead of rushing to work, he sat beneath a tree and closed his eyes. The villagers watched in confusion. "Elias has given up," they whispered. But Elias did not care. He sat there for hours, not moving, not thinking, just being. Then something strange happened. A cool breeze began to blow. Dark clouds gathered in the sky. The villagers looked up in amazement as rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavier. The dry earth drank the water greedily. The rivers filled, the crops revived, and within days life returned to the village. The people rejoiced, but Elias remained quiet. He knew the truth. The old man had been right. In his stillness, Elias had allowed nature to do what it needed. His constant action had only made things worse. By stopping, by doing nothing, he had given space for something greater to take over. From that day on, Elias changed. He still worked, but he also rested. He learned to sit in silence, to listen, to trust in the natural flow of things. The villagers, seeing his peace, began to follow his example. They discovered that sometimes the best action was no action at all. Years passed, and the village prospered. The people remembered the lesson of the drought. They built a small temple at the edge of the fields, not to worship a god, but to remind themselves of the power of stillness. Inside, there were no statues, no altars, just an empty space where anyone could sit and be still. Elias grew old, his hair white, his steps slow, but his eyes were calm, his heart at peace. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, the villagers gathered around him. "Tell us," they asked, "what is the secret of your strength?" Elias smiled. "It is not my strength," he said. "It is the strength of stillness. When you stop fighting, when you let go, you find a power greater than effort. The world moves on its own. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is nothing at all. That night, Elias closed his eyes and did not wake. But the villagers did not mourn. They understood. His life had been a lesson in stillness, and his death was no different. They buried him beneath the tree where he had once sat, where the rain had returned. And whenever they felt lost, whenever they struggled too hard, they would sit there beneath the tree and remember. The wind would whisper through the leaves, the earth would breathe beneath them, and in that quiet they would find the strength to go on, not by doing more, but by sometimes doing nothing at all. And so the village thrived, not because of endless labor, but because its people had learned the greatest wisdom of all, that stillness is not weakness, not laziness, but a deep and powerful action of its own. The world does not always need our hands to fix it. Sometimes it needs our patience, our trust, our willingness to step back and let life unfold. That is the power of stillness. That is why doing nothing is sometimes the best action of all.